we have finally delivered this load. It only took 5 days to go 1,200 miles. And if you've been paying attention, I like to do about 600 miles a day. So how did 2 days turn into 5 days? Let me tell you about it. My name's Kevin. I'm a solo driver for CRETE Carrier, and you're watching The Joy of Trucking. So hit the old subscribe button and sit back and listen here. It's been a crazy week. I guess this is like part 3 in the series. So going back to where I started from in Arizona, took a load into LA, right? Driving into all that rain and flooding and landslides and houses demolished that took place last week, right? I came right into the middle of that. So what happens next is I deliver the load, no problem, live unload. My next load is like 8 hours later, the pickup time. So in Los Angeles, I got to find a place to sit it out, right? And then I figured, you know what, after 8 hours, why not just make it 10? I've done the whole 10, reset my clock, ready to go, because it was a pretty wide window, but it didn't start until that 8-hour mark. Okay, so I get on over to the east side, picked up my load, and that was a pretty long process for a drop and hook. You get to the gate, you wait your turn, they inspect the trailer, they want you to do a U-turn in this little tiny space, go to another building, drop your empty, then bobtail back and go find your loaded trailer, then back to the gate and get all your paperwork and pop the seal on, right? And you're ready to roll. That was an hour and a half. Then I got up to Barstow, got myself fuel there, and decided to catch some rest, and the next day started heading this way. So I get to Kingman, Arizona on I-40, and I see a flashing sign, road closed ahead. I start checking all my gadgets and, 511 numbers and all that other stuff. Sure enough, it is shut down almost right across the whole state on I-40. So I park it. So you're up to speed now, right? This is where we left off with the last video. I got to a TA there in Kingman, and I had to just sit and wait until the weather cleared up. Turns out it didn't clear up until the next day, Friday. Now, I've been at this TA for 18 hours. My 70-hour clock is running down. So if I would have got back on the road now and just gone 7 hours and that clock runs out, I'd have to stop and do a whole 34 reset, right? I'd already done 18 hours, so I said, well, just stay here, finish the reset, and then I don't have to stop for another big stretch. Okay, so Saturday, as early as I can, I head out. I'm on my way. All the way across Arizona, no problem. Road's clear, things look good, and I get into New Mexico. I see some clouds looming on the horizon, and the weather starts getting worse and starts getting a little worse. And get through Albuquerque okay, and then up towards Santa Fe, things are getting dark and nasty and colder. And I got just past a place called Las Vegas, New Mexico, which is on I-25. You go from Albuquerque up through Santa Fe and then loop up and you're into Colorado. Well, my clock would just about run out. I did like 625 miles that day. I had like half an hour left, but I knew I wasn't going to make it to the next spot, so I was in a nice little rest area there. Got to bed early, had a good supper and everything. All was well, looking good. When I got up in the morning, there was snow drifting. The wind was howling out of the north, about 20 miles an hour. The temperature was dipping down. Damn, and I'm checking my weather app. It says it's cold. It says there's only like a 20% chance of snow. So I'm thinking it's not going to be that bad, right? I checked the road reports. It looks like people are moving slow, but nothing's closed. They're not announcing any road closures or anything like that. Well, let's give it a shot, right? Looks like it's doable as long as I'm real careful. I drove 14 miles. I could barely see. The road was completely covered in snow. It was starting to drift. The wind was blowing it all over the place. It was snowing so hard the wipers couldn't keep up, so now I can't barely see through the windshield. I'm going over drifts, and I'm pretty sure there's a layer of ice under that because it had been kind of wet snow the day before, and it probably all froze. So I'm like, this is not good. I pulled off at the very next exit I came to, 14 miles. parked next to a little gas station. It wasn't even open. Along the way, I saw a car had gone off the road. I stopped and made sure that guy was okay. He said, yeah, I called my sister. I says, maybe you should call a tow truck. What do you think? So, yeah, think about that while you're standing in the cold next to your car. Anyway, I parked and just kept watching the weather and you know, waiting, and I'm watching, and after a couple hours I see a snowplow go by, so I know they're working it. And another hour goes by and I saw a few trucks go by. I thought, well, this is going to be it. And I didn't see any change on my apps. The New Mexico 511 didn't seem to be as informative as the Arizona 511. Still no actual road closures. They're just hazardous driving conditions due to severe winter weather. Okay, well, the plows hopefully got things cleared. So over 3.5 hours I sat there. So the second time I've been shut down for weather on this load. I got going this morning finally, and the plows had been by, but they left about 2 inches thick ice on the roads, put a little sand on it. So I was doing 30 to 40 miles an hour all the way up that I-25. Didn't see any severe accidents or anything like that. I was very glad for that. And then I got up and over that Raton Pass. Nice, you know, taking my time. I was getting up to 50 miles an hour now. Things were looking better. There was ice, there was slush, there was sand, there was vehicles throwing a lot of stuff on my windshield. The wipers are doing their job, and I'm spraying, and it's just mayhem. Down the other side of the pass into Colorado, and then the sun started coming out. And about a half an hour later, I'm on wet pavement. And an hour after that, it's dry pavement. The sun is shining. All is good, and away we go. So that was quite the run. All right, so I get up here to a town called Sterling, Colorado at 2 p.m. Delivered my load. Now, the original delivery window was 8 o'clock Monday morning, and I asked for an earlier time, I think 1,200 miles. Come on. Even if there's some weather that slows me down a bit, Saturday night, Sunday morning at the latest, right? I did have to do a reset. I took that into consideration. So I got an appointment for like 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Had to eat a little crow this morning. Had to call in and say I don't think I'm going to get there until about 3 in the afternoon. As it is, I got here at 2 p.m. So they did call ahead and get me a new appointment. And it was just a drop and hook. It's not like there were people standing here waiting for it or anything like that. And they are open today. There are people here. And the other thing to note, when I pulled over this morning after driving 14 miles, the first thing I did was go off duty and send a message saying I am shut down because of weather. And I got a message back asking what kind of weather is it? We need to document. I said it's severe winter weather. That's what it says on the New Mexico DOT website. And I've got snow piled up on the road. I've got ice. I've got wind. I can't even see. And they said, okay, thanks for letting us know. Got going again like 3.5 hours later or something. So, here's a quick summary. 1,200 miles, 5 days. It should have taken like 2, maybe 3 at the most. A reset in there would make it 3.5 or 4. But shut down twice because of winter weather. Left LA in a terrible mess with all the rain and stuff they were having. Today I saw 5 cars that had just gone off the road into the ditch. Some of them had police tape. They might have been there from the day before or something. I don't know. No trucks off the road. Got to hand it to all the truckers out here in this part of the country. Everybody kept the wheels on the pavement. Nobody was rolled over or just slid off the side or none of that crazy stuff. One thing I did see, about a half an hour before I got here, there was a truck on the southbound side that was burnt to a crisp. It looked like the fire started in the engine and went back and took out the cab and the sleeper and everything else. The fire trucks were there, and traffic was completely halted and getting diverted around them. Oh, and I did see 2 accidents in New Mexico. When I came across from Arizona on Saturday, and there was a spot that was pretty bad near Grants, between Grants and Albuquerque, where we had to get off the road and take a side road, and get back on the road. There was an accident involving some trucks back there, and I think another accident just before we got back on the road. And that little diversion took up like an hour and a half. It was a mess and real slow going. I don't know if it was from the weather, but the weather was starting to get bad at that point. So anyhow, rain in LA, blizzards in Arizona, bad weather in New Mexico, and the sun is shining in Colorado. So happy ending. All right. I wonder how your week went. I did not have a good time on this run. I'm glad it's over. Now I'm going to get my next load and move on. So don't forget to put your comments down below and give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'll see you down the road. Bye for now.